Okay, the only thing I've removed here is just the intercooler tubes and the breather box here, and you can see this is what holds that breather down in there. It's got these little rubber grommets that snap down in here, and I've just labeled a couple of these wires as I've taken them loose, and what I'm going to do, I don't know if I'm going to take that turbo off just yet, because I'm really just wanting to get down in here to these injectors and check this compression before I do much of anything. So I'm going to start on this side because it's the easiest, and I'm going to work on getting the valve cover and stuff off there. So it's been a while since I've messed with one of these, so it's you know, coming back to me a little bit. But anyways, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to get started clearing up some stuff out of the way. We'll have to get this off and this bracket underneath. Make sure to label everything good, you know. Don't rely on your memory or take pictures or video like I'm doing here, you know, as you're taking stuff loose. So we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to get started taking a little bit of this off here today. Okay, right now I'm just getting ready to take this piece off, and you have to get down in here. If you can see my screwdriver, you're going to have a band right down there. And then as far as this side goes, there's no need in taking this bracket that you see here off. All you got to do is take these two nuts off this computer, and we're just going to slide it up off there. Also, make sure to put those nuts back on there when you're done so you don't lose those. Anytime you can put them back to where they go will keep you from losing stuff. As you're pulling this piece up, you also have to pop that up and out of there. It's got an O-ring. The O-ring on there was completely gone and just fell off. I'm starting to get a little more concerned about this engine, the fact that I'm seeing so much oil everywhere, but regardless, it's got to be checked out. You know, like I say, worst case scenario, it's going to have to come out of here anyway. So anyways, we're just going to get started removing this computer and getting some of these wires out of the way here, and start clearing up this bracket here. Will need to come off next as well, and I'm going to have to get back there to those nuts on the back side of this, which are kind of difficult to get to, the best I remember. Okay, I just want to point out that we've removed both negative cables on our batteries before we started messing with a lot of this. We don't want to run a risk of shorting something, messing something up. And this is the type of cushion you're going to want to get if you can find one or get an old one. And you're going to need this to lay up in here to be able to work on this thing. Not all of us have the luxury of having a shop with a 4-post lift, and we have to do it the hard way. So, you know, that's how you do it. But anyways, I'm just getting ready to take those back to 10mm nuts out, and I've just got my little ratchet, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, correction, these front two were 10s, the back two were 8mm, and you'll need to use a small ratchet to be able to fit back in there as well. But we have this, I just lost something there. I had to figure out what that was. But I'm going to free up both hands and follow up. Okay, and all we're going to do with this for now is just get it out of our way so we can get underneath. You can see the way that it plugs in there, but we're going to need this connected to do our check. So we're just going to move some stuff out of the way and remove as little as we can. And right now the next thing we've got to do is get these brackets. We've got one here and one back there, and probably need to move this sensor here momentarily. But I'm gonna go ahead and work on getting this bracket now. These bracket nuts here are 10 millimeters, by the way, and I just took that sensor off, and I'm gonna label that down there. Always label, take pictures, make sure that you get stuff back where it's supposed to go. And I want right on top of the two clamps, you also have this line here the sensor runs into, connected to this, and we have to take that 10 millimeter nut off of that. Now these hole bolts come out with it, which is just fine because I'll know exactly where they go and they won't get lost. So I'm just going to leave it just like that and get that one out of the way. And okay, I went ahead and got that back bracket there removed and labeled everything. Now, these have these plastic deals that just kind of slip over the top of these studs, and like I said, we're just going to try to move some things out of the way a little bit. We're not really going to take a whole lot loose any more than we have to. And at this point, we should be, let's see here, okay, we should be ready to start taking the rest of these out of this valve cover here. So we're just going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, now all these are pretty straightforward to get out of here, except for your very back one back up in here where you can see my ratchet. And I'm just using a little ratchet and a little short socket to get that very, very back one there. And it's kind of hard to even see, but it's right back up in there. And then the other one we're going to contend with is this one right here, where we have our dipstick. We've got a 10 millimeter nut. We're going to have to take that off and then get the 12 millimeter that's below that. Okay, and with that 10 millimeter nut off, we can get to the 12 millimeter below, and we've just carefully moved the dipstick out of the way, just enough to clear it, and we're just going to take that 12 millimeter off right there. Okay, and with those out, we've got our valve cover slid back here out of the way, and we're not quite there yet. We're looking at the oil, part of the oil rail here, and we have to get that out of there. We're going to have some Torx to remove those. Can't remember the size, but that's going to be the next step. Now you want to be careful. I'm going to be replacing the seals regardless, but if yours are in good shape, you want to be careful not to damage. You want to pull this thing off of there straight, because this fastens right into your injectors. So we got to remove all of these. Torx head is our next step, and then we'll be able to get the oil rail out of the way, and then that will reveal our injectors. We've got some clamps holding them, but other than that, we should be getting pretty close to getting in there where we can check this thing. Now the other side, showing you, is way more difficult because you got the air compressor and the part of the HVAC box and stuff over there in the way. That's the reason I purposely started on this side, because if this side doesn't check out, there's no point in even messing with that over there. So we're gonna test this side first before we even go any farther. Okay, so we've managed to get all of our torque head bits out, and we put them in a container so we don't lose them. And this thing, like I said, it will come loose. I don't really care if I damage the seals because I'm going to be replacing them. And there's also going to be a tube, the best I can remember here, that has to come off of that. And you can see I got oil going everywhere. I'm going to have to get something underneath there. But yeah, this oil really stinks bad if you hadn't messed with one of these. But looks like I've got some storms coming here today, so I'm going to have to wrap it up for another time. Alright, I'm back here with my 6.0 liter powerstroke today, and I was trying to do a compression check on this, and what I wound up doing is taking out the glow plug You can see in that spot right down in there, and that is where that comes out of. Now these things are brittle plastic and they break when you take them out, and I had a little tool to do it and it still broke, so I just don't think that there's any way of salvaging these. You're probably going to have to replace it. If you remove it, it's going to break. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of them out. As it turned out, the adapter kit that I had, out of all the adapters in it, none of them would fit this, so I'm going to have to wind up getting a special glow plug adapter that they make for the 6.0 before I can test this, because I was losing compression through the fitting that I had because it wouldn't go down in there far enough. So that's where I'm at. I had thought about checking it through the injectors, and I'd already taken this off and looked at it and realized there was no way it was going to work. So we're going to have to go through the glow plug there in order to check this compression. So I'm just going to follow up when I get a little bit farther along with this. Okay, I just wanted to tell you how I was removing these. I am just using a screwdriver and kind of tapping around this part, and then I've just wound up getting a screwdriver and just tugging on this right here. And like I said, they're going to be damaged regardless because they're just crumbling to pieces. I even tried the tool. It doesn't work on these. I mean, if they wasn't so brittle, it would, but you can get a hold of it and you yank on that wire or tap it around with a screwdriver and pull on this part here. I said I thought the wire was going to pull out, but it didn't, and a little bit of tugging it come on out of there. So you really just got to get them out of there any way you can. You can get these replacements, and that's just what you're going to have to do. That's the reality of it. If you have to remove these glow plugs, you're just going to have to replace these harnesses here. Okay, now I haven't been able to do a successful compression test as of yet, but just show you this right here. Kind of looks, it definitely got really hot, and it was hot enough to melt this and distort it, so that right there is not a good sign. So regardless, you know, this harness is no good. It's going to have to be replaced anyway. Like I said, I just used a screwdriver, and while I was kind of prying and tugging on this a little bit, I pulled on the wire a little bit with my other hand. Wasn't worried about it. They were so brittle they were falling apart anyways, but it definitely got hot right there, as you can see. So that's about all I'm going to be able to do until I get another compression test that actually fit this. So I'll just follow up then.